The advice and opinions expressed by the host of Autism Live and her guests are meant solely as suggestion and should not be in any way construed as child-specific advice. The Center for Autism and Related Disorders advises working with a board-certified behavior analyst who has experience with autism before starting any intensive behavioral intervention. Any choices you make in determining your child's treatment are completely at your own discretion.
Good morning and welcome to Autism Live. I'm Shannon Penrod and we are webcasting to you live from the Center for Autism and Related Disorders headquarters in Tarzana, California. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We're continuing on with our Festival of Toys, and you know, every hour until our last show, which will be on December, is it 17th? 18th. December 18th is our last show of the year. Every hour we will be featuring a toy that we think is remarkable and has the ability to help our kids on the autism spectrum. So our toy of the hour today, very excited. I mentioned this to you guys yesterday. This comes to us from Brain Parade, and it is called See.Touch.Learn. Could it be any more simplistic, any more beautiful? It's exactly what we want to do with our kids. Have them see, have them interact, and have them learn. This is an app, and we're going to be talking more about this a little bit later on in this hour. We have a couple of guests joining us from Brain Parade later on who will be talking with us. I love this app because it's visually beautiful. It's so visually exciting, but beyond that, it's so customizable. And I think you guys are going to love hearing more about that. So this is our toy of the hour. It's our app of the hour. And we're going to give you some more information about how you can win a See.Touch.Learn app for yourself. If you are already a member of our email list, then great. If you aren't already, you need to become a member. Make sure that you visit our autism-live.com. Up in the upper left-hand corner on the whiteboard, it says join our free email list. You'll click on that, fill that information out. That makes you eligible. Then we want you to email me at s.penrod@autism-live.com. Tell us what you want to win when it's the toy of the hour. So for this hour, you want to say, I want to win See.Touch.Learn, and who you want to win it for and why. Make sure that you include, for this, because we're just going to email you a code for it, all you have to have is your email, and if you email me, then I'll have it. But let us know why you want to win it. Of the appropriate responses, people who are on the email list and who have emailed me, we will pick winners at random. So we have a couple, we actually have 3 of these to give away. It's very exciting. We're going to talk more about that throughout the hour. But a really, oh my gosh, just a beautiful, beautiful app. So many things that you can learn. Wait till you hear about all the different ways that you can customize this for an individual, ways that you can teach so many different lessons in a very visually stimulating way, and a lot of our kids are very visual. I said yesterday, I'm on a tear about so much of our education is turned into worksheets. We slide a worksheet at a child and say, do the worksheet, and think that we've taught them something. And, you know, I don't know about you, but I am so allergic to that kind of idea. As a former teacher and as a parent, I'm allergic to the worksheet thing. Our kids need to experience things. They need to interact. We know that that's what gets them excited, and we know that's a way that they learn so much faster. Well, this app has put it all together for you, and you can customize it. It's absolutely beautiful. So See.Touch.Learn, we're going to be talking about it a little later on. Okay, we are going to be with you live for the next 2 hours. It's such an exciting show. We've got so many different things to talk about today. And I want to remind you that this entire show is meant to be interactive. We want to hear from you. We want to know what you're thinking about, what you're wondering about, what you want more information information about. So Kelby's going to show you some of the different ways that you can be watching the show, some of the different ways that you can interact with the show. I always like to remind you that our homepage is autism-live.com. So much to do there, including signing up for the free newsletter or checking out the blog. We've got a great holiday recipe that happens to be GFCF, for those of you who are GFCF. And it's tasty. Oh my goodness, and it smells good. Makes your whole house smell like an expensive Italian kitchen. It's great. But you can also be watching the live show there, or recently recorded live shows. You can actually go through the entire library of videos. There is a little library icon up in the upper left-hand corner of the screen there that you can cycle through and see all the most recent shows. But I really want to talk to you about the live feature, which is to the side of that computer screen where the show plays. There's a series of white boxes there. Put your cursor in the one that says your question and type whatever you want. You can just say, Shannon, I'm having a really rotten day, and I need somebody to tell me that I'm a good parent. And push enter, send it. You don't have to do anything else. There is no requirement for a username. There's no password. We're not asking for your address or your credit card information because it's totally free and it's totally anonymous. So hit enter, and it takes a couple of minutes to get here to me. So I always say, if you want a question of our experts, send them early. Otherwise, I get them after they're gone. But I can always send them to them later on. But we do encourage you to participate. We are more excited when you guys participate. We love to hear from you. I've got a bunch of different experts that are going to be on the show today, so we look forward to getting your questions. All right, I do like to remind you at the start of the show that while we have a bunch of experts that are on, usually daily, I am not one of them. I'm a parent and a former teacher. My son was diagnosed with autism at the age of 2.5. He will this weekend be 11.5. And so it's a bit of an anniversary for us, but it's not a bittersweet anniversary at all, because my son has made such strides because he got such great help along the way. And I want you to know that while I'm not an expert in that, I'm just a student along with everybody else learning, with all the parents, teachers, practitioners out there. We're all learning, right? And for those of you who are on the autism spectrum, we're all learning together. I want to help you to get to the resources that will help you. In whatever circumstances that you're in this autism community, I want to help connect you with things that will help you get further. That's really what the Festival of Toys is all about. We want to celebrate the season, but with things that are educational and exciting too. So in any case, participate with us. I always say we hold hands together, we get through this together, and si se puede, right? We can do this. All right, we like to start every morning with something we fondly refer to as the jargon of the day. This is when we take on one word, one phrase, one acronym. We try to make sense of it in our world to figure out how this is useful to us. So our jargon for today, you can see it there on the board, is perseveration. Now, I don't know about you. I probably heard this term before my child was diagnosed with autism, but I don't think I dwelled on it. And it wasn't something that I heard people use in conversation. It just wasn't. I always heard that we want to persevere, right? That being able to persevere was something that was good and a skill that would serve you well. Then suddenly when my son was diagnosed with autism, I would hear people talk about he's perseverating, he's perseverating. So what does this mean? And is it something negative, or is it something positive? Or is it like a lot of things? It could be what it could be. All right, our actual definition for perseveration is a failure of the brain to switch ideas along with the social context, often resulting in a pathological and persistent repetition of words or gestures after they have ceased to be socially relevant or appropriate. Ooh, that doesn't sound very good, right? The very wordy definition, and you get bogged down, oh, it's a failure of the brain. Oh my gosh, sounds like a really horrible, horrible thing. Let's take a look at our working definition so that we get a little bit clearer picture. Perseveration, the functionless repetition of a behavior or response, such as repeating a word or a phrase or making a gesture when it's no longer appropriate. So when people write in and ask us, what's the difference between, having a a passion for something and perseverating on it, we really are looking at, it's not a bad thing to be passionate about something. Let's say that you love Buzz Lightyear, because a lot of our kids do. They love Buzz Lightyear, and it's something that, you know, they're playing and they're talking to other kids and they're talking about Buzz Lightyear. That's being passionate about something. They see Buzz Lightyear on the television and they're excited about it. We don't want to squash that passion, right? We never want to squash passion. But for some of our kids, they can get into a loop where all they can talk about is Buzz Lightyear, or fill in the blank of whatever it might be, and they can't get out of it. So they'll go up to another child and they'll start to talk about Buzz Lightyear, and there's a portion of the conversation that serves a purpose. They're talking about Buzz Lightyear to the other kid, and the other kid goes, I love Buzz Lightyear too, and it's wonderful. But then the other child might move on to something else, and sometimes an individual who's perseverating can't. They get stuck in it, and now it's no longer serving a purpose, and it becomes more of a liability to them. So when we're talking about perseveration, this is what we're talking about, when it no longer ceases to serve a purpose or be socially relevant. Now, are there ways that we can channel perseveration into something that's productive? Absolutely. We've talked a lot on the show about how sometimes our kids have strengths that they get a little perseverative about, and if we can channel that properly into something that's meaningful to them and serves a purpose. If you look at people who are the most successful in life, they're people who are really passionate and focused on something. But on the other side of that, besides channeling the passion, we have to also make sure that we teach and plug in flexibility so that there is the ability to stop. I think even with those people who are wildly successful at something because they're really passionate about it, if they don't have a way that they can turn that off from time to time, it can become stressful. So perseveration is something that we really want to be careful about, that we really want to be mindful. We want to channel it when possible, and we want to really work on flexibility and reward somebody being able to get off of the thing that they're perseverating on and go to something else. Our kids can perseverate on so many different things, and it can affect their life in so many ways. When my son was little, he perseverated on vacuum cleaners. If a vacuum cleaner came out while we were doing anything, everything else was over, because he was going to just be about the vacuum cleaner, and we would have to put it away for him to get moved on to something else. And even then, if he knew where it was, he would perseverate on it. Same thing with drains. Any type of a drain, if we were walking around the street and there was a drain, he would focus on that. If he was in the bathtub, he would be focused on the drain. If he was in the bathroom, he was focused on where does the water go down, which makes it hard to potty train an individual. We worked on all of those things, and it can get very creative when you work on perseveration. One of the things that we did when he was 3.5, we gave him a camera and let him go and take pictures of the world that he wanted to take. And I don't know why to this day, but he went and took pictures of a bunch of drains, and then he didn't need to perseverate on them anymore. Don't know why. Won't that be that way with every child, but we get creative when we work on perseveration. And out of that, he became a little photographer, which was kind of an amazing thing. So perseveration, something to be aware of, and to be able to look at things and say, all right, are we perseverating on it? Do we need to put an intervention in place to do something that's a corrective measure here? Because often you do. We don't want to let perseveration just go and go and go. That's our jargon for today. Now, we always have a question of the day for you guys. We love when you write in, especially on Facebook. Earlier this week, we asked you, how has technology helped you in your autism journey? Well, this morning we wanted to know, what technology would you like to try? We've been talking all this week about all the amazing tech things that there are that can help with autism. What an age that we live in, right? With things like iPads and other tablets, telephones. Our kids tend to be so interested in them. It's one of the things that they find reinforcing, and it helps them to move in a new social world. It's very exciting. But what what haven't you tried that you'd like to try? For me, the list is endless. There are so many things that I could think, oh, I haven't tried that. I want to try some of the new software. We need to get Danny Bowman back on the show. She's a young woman who is better. I think she's a sophomore in college now, which is shocking to me. But she is an artist and has had her own film company since she was 15, and she illustrates books, children's books, amazing. And I want to try some of the new software that she uses to animate characters and make them be able to move. That's just very exciting to me. That's what I'd like to try, but what would you like to try? And it can be something that just helps you in your daily life, or it could just be something that's pure fun, or something that helps you with work. But what would you like to give a try? We had RoboKind on the show last week via Skype. I want to play with Milo, that robot. I thought he was pretty cool. I want to see what that's. I want to be in person with Milo. So that's on my wish list. What's on your wish list? All right, we always have a topic, and I always give it away before we get to the topic. But our topic this entire week, we're talking about technology and autism. I just can't even imagine for those pioneers, those of you who have kids that are older, that we walk in your footsteps to follow in your footsteps. But I feel for you because you didn't have the insurance reform, you didn't have all the knowledge of the things that we had, and you didn't have the technology. But this is an area where I sort of feel like it's a gift to all of us, including those of you who have the older kids, because our kids are never too old to begin to work with the technology and play with the technology. And there are some huge advances for our adults that are on the autism spectrum involving technology. So that's a very exciting thing. All right, some of the amazing things that we're going to be talking about today here on the show. We are welcoming back Dr. Adel Najdowski, who is going to be talking with us about using technology as a reinforcer. How do our kids love to be reinforced with that technology? We have Jim McClafferty is going to be with us from Brain Parade. He's going to be talking with us about See.Touch.Learn. And we also, joining us with him is going to be Stephanie O'Brien, who is going to give us the BCBA end of See.Touch.Learn as well. I'm really excited to talk about all the different connections that a brain can make in using See.Touch.Learn. And then in the second hour, we have Dr. Jonathan Tarbox, who's going to be joining us, and he's going to be answering your questions. We've had a lot of questions come in because we didn't do a show last week because of Thanksgiving, and I know many of you have been waiting for Dr. Tarbox to come back. He's here. He's in the building. I've already talked to him this morning, and he's excited to be answering your questions. So all of that and ever so much more. Don't forget that the toy of the hour, See.Touch.Learn. Check it out in the App Store. It's amazing, but we are going to be talking about it before this hour is over, so stick with us.
Skills is an online program that provides assessment, curriculum, positive behavior support planning for challenging behavior, and progress tracking, and it does this all in one place. The skills assessment and curriculum addresses 8 areas of development, which even includes advanced higher level areas such as executive functions and cognition, which pretty much makes skills the only ABA-based set of curricula for teaching more complex skills, things like problem solving, planning, self-management, perspective taking, and even inferring and predicting others' private events. Skills is a 4-step system. Step 1 is to add the child to your account. Step 2 is to start assessment. The skills assessment is the only ABA-based assessment with psychometric research demonstrating the language subscale to have excellent reliability. Every area of human functioning and typical child development from infancy to adolescence was researched, making the skills assessment the most comprehensive of its kind in the world, and we're quite proud of that.
Skills is easy to use. Simply click Start Assessment and begin answering questions. Or simply type in a keyword, find specific activities to assess, and add activities to treatment. Step 3. Choose activities. Once you've completed the assessment, Skills selects from a pool of 4,000 activities categorized by age, level, and skill type to provide you with exactly those activities each child needs. Start by choosing a curriculum, then a lesson, and finally an activity. Click the information icon to view prerequisites, ages in which targets develop, examples, and IEP goals. Click the video icon to watch a short video. Once you've identified an activity you want to teach, adding activities to treatment is a snap. Step 4. Start treatment. Here you can access customizable activity lesson details, add your own customized targets and exemplars, and edit an activity status such as introducing or mastering it. You can even print handouts such as worksheets, tracking forms, visual aids, and other materials. Skills also offers multiple progress charts mapping curriculum progress, lesson progress, and cumulative number of activities and targets mastered over time. The Skills language curriculum is categorized by verbal behavior type so that users can identify progress for verbal operants, such as echoics, mans, tacs, and interverbals.
Skills is one of the only programs that provides the ability to write behavior intervention plans, or BIPs, for challenging behavior.
With just a few clicks, the outline of the behavior intervention plan is written for you and ready to be printed and implemented.
You can learn more about Skills today and get started by visiting us at www.skillsforautism.com, or you can call us at 877-975-4559. Skills. Progress starts here.
Welcome back to Autism Live. I want to remind everybody that our toy of the hour, which we're going to be talking about a little bit later on, comes from Brain Parade. It's called See.Touch.Learn. Really amazing app. And all this week we've been talking about technology, and all this month we're talking about toys that we can get as parents of children who are on the autism spectrum, or teachers, or even a practitioner. Practitioners use toys to work with our kids, but in particular this week we're talking about the technology and how exciting that is. So just remember, See.Touch.Learn is our toy for the hour. But right now we have Dr. Adel Najdowski, who's here with us, and we welcome you back to the show. Haven't seen you for a couple of weeks.
Thank you.
Hope you had a good Thanksgiving.
I did.
Wonderful. And Dr. Najdowski, for those of you who don't know, she is a BCBA, and she works extensively with individuals who are on the autism spectrum. She was one of the co-creators of Skills, and somebody who's been so instrumental in my life that I always say she's made me a better parent. By coming here and doing the show, I've gotten to spend quite a bit of time talking with her and asking her questions, and it's amazing. We call this segment Real Progress with Dr. Adel because she helps us to get to the real progress. You're very practical.
Really?
In the way, yeah, you really are, in the way you look at things. And
that's good.
You are, and we call her the queen of EF, to executive functions, which I think a lot of autism parents could really use some more EF training. But she puts things in a context that makes them doable. You don't give me pie in the sky things to work on. You give me very sensible, realistic things to work on, and then we get to progress, which is the key to everything.
Yeah, I blame that on the fact that I have children already.
Well, okay, but that's a good thing to blame it on. I mean, it makes a certain amount of sense.
Yeah.
I always used to think it was weird when, like, a 19 or 20-year-old therapist who didn't have children came to my door to work with my child, and I would think, okay, what are we going to learn here? And then I would learn a lot, but I do think that there's, something to be said for someone like yourself who has extensive experience with kids on the autism spectrum and who's also a parent, so you understand what the morning rush feels like. You understand what it feels like to be exhausted and trying to get children to go to bed. You have an empathy there for all of us, which is wonderful. So we appreciate her in the highest order. But I asked you to come today and talk to us a little bit about technology and all the different ways that we can use technology when working with individuals who are on the autism spectrum.
Okay.
So let's talk a little bit about, because there's a lot to talk about, right?
Yeah. I don't even know where to get started. I mean, technology is involved with, ways of assessing kids, providing them with curriculum. These are tools that maybe like practitioners or teachers or parents use when they're designing a program for their child. But then there's also programs, technology that the kids can go in and actually learn from directly.
Yeah.
You can sit them down at a computer or with an iPad and they have a game or an app or a program that teaches them things while you're able to do other things.
Yeah, in fact, that's one of the things, our toy of the hour that we're going to be talking about our next interview when we're done with you, is talking about See.Touch.Learn and how you can put power in a child's hands.
Yeah, I'm excited to know
learn.
more about See.Touch.Learn. It sounds interesting.
I think it's you're gonna be really excited when you see it, because what I love about it is that it's so customizable. That you were in my office for a second and I was playing with it, and I was
wondering why things
I had
character sounds and beeps.
You know why? Because I had all
5
these
seconds.
sounds, and I got to pick the sound that reinforced me and the sound that I wanted to hear when I got an answer wrong. And I was playing with them and going,
cool.
well, which one do I want to hear? And then there was one I was like, ooh, I like that one. And that's the one I want to hear when I get the answer right. And then there was another one that was just annoying enough, but not too annoying that was the one that I wanted to hear when I got the answer wrong. I love all the customization
That's cool.
in it.
Yeah, I like that too.
Truly wonderful. So many things that we can do with technology. Talk to us a little bit about, because I know you know a great deal about this, about using technology to do an assessment and to have a curriculum.
Well, back before technology, people would just do the traditional paper pencil, sit down, do a test with a child, and then keep the results somewhere and have to write a report. But now there's actually software out there where you can actually have your iPad with you and work with a child and enter in an answer, and then it will actually, some programs will actually determine what the next test item should be. Like if you said, no, the child can't do that, it'll just skip directly to what the next thing is that they should get tested on, instead of having you have to do some things that might not have been necessary. And then the nice thing is that it goes into a database, usually provides some sort of reports, and sometimes links directly to lessons that you can then teach. So then says, oh, okay, well, based on how you answered these questions, here's the things that you need to work on.
And
So it's kind of nice. And then a multidisciplinary approach allows the other team members, the moms and the dad, whoever else is involved, teachers, they can log in too and see those same results as well.
Yeah, which is amazing, and cuts down on time when you have to sit in an IEP meeting with 12 people who could be doing other things. So are assessment centers starting to use tools like that, where they can, a program where they can assess a child to do that?
I'm finding more and more, that some assessments that used to be paper pencil, they're having like web versions of them now. And people are feeling comfortable with doing that, yeah.
That could be amazing, because a lot of people have been writing in saying, especially with some of the Medicaid rules, that they're asking that kids get reassessed to requalify, and they're having to wait 6 months to a year to get reassessed before they can get accessed. And there's legislation about it. People are suing, saying this is, preventing kids from getting the treatment that the government said that they could get. But if we could speed up the process, that would help everyone.
Yeah.
To get quality assessments done.
It kind of depends on what assessments those funding agencies will require.
Yeah.
Because some assessments it's not okay for anyone to administer. You have to have a certain level of education or background or training.
But even if those people had a way of streamlining to get the process done and get the paperwork done, because the paperwork slows it down. As parents, we bring our children in, they get assessed, we're there for a 2-hour thing, and then we don't understand why it takes 3 months sometimes to get the paperwork. But it takes time for them to fill all that stuff in. But
that's true.
But if there's a streamlined way, if technology can streamline that could be amazing for the autism community. Truly wonderful. But parents can be involved in this as well. Parents, for the longest time, we didn't have a way to assess our own children. But you helped to make sure that there was a way that parents, not just parents, I think you started it more to be able to help teachers and practitioners, but the end result is that a lot of parents are now using, I'm talking about the assessment portion of skills.
Yeah.
And so give people an idea of how many things they can be assessing their child to get, because I like to say that it gives me a snapshot of where we are and where we want to get to.
Yeah.
That's really what it does. So what kinds of things does the assessment encompass in skills?
Well, it basically comes from, it was developed based on child development and other standardized assessments so that you would be able to assess all areas of functioning. So it includes, social skills, motor skills, language, play, some more higher level cognitive skills, executive function skills. So the whole idea is social skills. I don't know if I said that. The whole idea is to make sure that we are getting in and figuring out where all the holes are, because sometimes our kids actually have splinter skills. They may be able to do some really advanced things, but they can't do some other things, and some of those are prerequisites for others. So
You know what I call that, right?
yeah, the Swiss cheese.
Yeah, the Swiss cheese kids. This is what we used to talk about when I was a teacher, the kids who come in and they're Swiss cheese, because they, it's not like they're a blank slate. They've got some stuff going on, but there are huge gaping holes. And how do we fill the holes of the Swiss cheese kid if you don't even know what they are? And skills helps to identify, here's where the holes are.
Right, right.
And then it can help you it can give you lessons to fill those holes, which is amazing. But as a parent, if you don't know where your kids' holes are, you're kind of at a disadvantage. So this is one of the ways that technology can help our kids. Okay, so we're going to take a break, but when we come back, I want to talk about technology simply as a reinforcer.
Okay.
Like, because our kids tend to think that it's kind of cool.
It is.
They want to stick their faces on the screen. Right? That's their regular thing. So stick with us. We're going to be right back after these messages.
Hi guys, welcome back to Smarty. This month we're going to be making a wreath of thanks. And as we work on this activity, you'll notice that these icons will pop up. These icons tell you important information about the skills we'll be using to make this activity and where to find them on the Skills program. Skills is an ABA-based online tool that helps parents create curriculum for their children that are on the autism spectrum. And if you're already a Skills user, this will help you get the most out of this fun activity. Well, let's get started. The materials you'll be needing are a paper plate, a hole puncher, scissors, colored pencils or crayons, brackets, and craft paper. So step one, you're gonna take your paper plate and you're gonna cut out the center of this so it becomes just a hollow ring for your wreath. Once the center of the paper plate has been removed, you're gonna take your hole puncher and make holes along the edge. Step 3, you're going to take out your construction paper and you're going to have your child and your family members lay their hand upon it and you're going to trace out the shape of their hand. Once their hand has been traced, then you're going to take your scissors and you're going to cut out the hands. At the base of each hand, you're going to take your hole puncher and make a single hole punch in it. The holidays are about being thankful, so on each hand, you're going to have your child put something on there that they're thankful for. Once your messages have been written on the hands, you're going to place them on the circle. You're going to use your brackets to hold them in place. So, your finished wreath will be a wonderful reminder of all the things that you're happy and hopeful for, and it will help you bring in the new year with such wonderful joy. Well, I hope you enjoyed this activity with me, and until next time, craft on, guys. Bye. To find more about skills and to access all of the lessons you saw in today's Smarty, visit skillsforautism.com and click on the parents icon. Skills, the online autism solution.
Welcome back to Autism Live. We're so thrilled because we have Dr. Adel Najdowski here with us. She's been talking with us about technology and some of the ways in which we can use technology in the field of autism because it's a growing area. There were a bunch more things that we didn't get to that let's just list off some of those because then I want to talk about how we can use it as a reinforcer.
Okay.
But just to give people an idea of all the different ways that we can use technology right now.
So there's plenty of teaching programs out there where you can actually sit the child down and they can learn directly from the computer itself.
Which we're going to be talking more about.
Through apps or different websites that do math and reading and object labels, language instruction, all that kind of stuff.
Which I mentioned our toy, because our toy of the hour is See.Touch.Learn. So we're going to talk more about that.
Communication apps. These are where the kids a lot of times now are walking around with iPads, and these are kids that can't speak necessarily, or their articulation is really difficult to understand. And they have the ability to use programs like ProLoco or Touch Chat, and these things actually speak for them.
Yes.
There's also things for challenging behavior. There's the BIP builder, which is in Skills as well. And I know that there's probably another one or two others that are out there. And these help people to design behavior intervention plans for their children's challenging behavior. Then there's data collection systems now that are online. So we are very heavily into taking data while we're working with our kids so that we know if they're making progress or not. And that's always been paper pencil. It's a lot of paperwork, scanning and shredding. Now you can actually get software where you can take data right there on an iPad or a tablet while you're doing
Which
your
is going to
intervention.
change the way we treat autism. It just is going to change. It's hopefully going to make it much more effective and more efficient.
Yeah.
We'll be able to see what works across a wide range of kids.
And then also for training. So if you're out there and you want to know more about behavior analysis, but you just would rather learn through technology, those things exist too. There's different companies out there, including Institute for Behavioral Training, that's just one of them, who provides these online web-based trainings that actually provide information for having to do with behavior analysis.
Yeah, fascinating. We never had that capability before, and it's brilliant.
Yep. And then there's telemedicine, of course, through technology. So I've actually met families who live in other states, and I FaceTime them, and I can help them get their kid to swallow pills or do something,
Yeah,
feeding,
amazing.
stuff like that from a distance, and it's like I'm right there. So I might be conversing with one of their therapists who just is less experienced or something, or I could directly speak with just a family and walk them through how to do something with their child.
Amazing.
And they
it
can
used to be-
demonstrate it through because we're through FaceTime.
Yeah, it used to be you had to get on
Or
a
Skype.
plane for some people to be able to do that, and now we can be doing that on a certain amount. I mean, you can't do everything that way, but the things that you can, it's truly amazing and a gift for all of
Yeah,
us.
and one last thing that's kind of cool is that insurance is now funding ABA in a lot of different states, and through care coordination through technology, they're able to also see a child's progress. So if you're using one of the software systems that actually tracks your child's curriculum program and all their progress, that's another person in the team who can log in, the insurance case manager, and see what's going on and get the reports and all that. So it makes
Yeah.
everything much more streamlined and easier to communicate with others.
And I think sometimes parents get concerned about that it's just, one more person who might be getting in their way. But here's the truth. If you're working with a quality ABA team and they're doing things right, you're going to continue to see progress. And if you're seeing progress, having that other person oversee it should help you to get to even more progress, not less. You should only be worried about that if you have a non-quality ABA provider, in which case you have more things to worry about than the insurance person who's looking over the data, right?
Yeah.
It should always be a good and positive thing. So having said all those amazing ways that we can use technology, we still have one thing left to talk about. Let's talk about how we use technology as a reinforcer for our kids, because for a lot of us, that is the number one thing that our kids want to get is technology, and more technology time, more screen time, as we refer to it.
Yeah, and the nice thing about that is that, like I've worked with kids where you have them on maybe a token system or something, and after they, engage in correct responses or positive behaviors, they earn the tokens, and then, contingent on a certain amount, then they get access to screen time. And it can be anything from, just watching a YouTube video, which is not educational, to totally educational. So that's the coolest part about it, is that their reinforcement time can also be something where they're learning something.
Yes.
And they don't even realize it. So now we're really optimizing every minute that we're with our kids. And also, I've been finding that there's certain things we want to teach where we could make our own materials and everything and make picture cards and do this and that, but now they have ones where you can drag and drop, like reading programs where there's pictures and then a word and then you drag and drop, whereas before you would have had a kid match that on a table, and that's a lot of work to create. And what's interesting is that on the table, the kids are bored, they kind of don't want to pay attention, but as soon as it's on a screen for whatever reason, this is now fun.
Yeah. And I keep coming back to See.Touch.Learn, because wait until you see, because you can customize a lesson, you can make your own flashcards, and you can borrow things from other people in the community that have already made stimuli that you can put into your program, so that you can save yourself a whole lot of time doing things like that and create a program that's specific to your child using all the stimuli. I gotta say,
I can't wait to see this, because
Yes.
I might actually have some clients it would be good for.
There you go. So in any case, but I want to say that I used to be a teacher, and on occasion I was a good teacher because I thought ahead. And I want to say that I thought ahead to this show because our jargon for the last 3 shows has been deprivation, satiation, and perseveration. So can you guess, Dr. Najdowski, why I would put these 3 things together before we had a show where we talked about technology and kids?
Just tell me.
Because because I think that it's so hard for parents that we don't understand how much screen time is a good thing.
Yeah,
Like we want to use it as a reinforcer, and we don't really understand we understand on paper deprivation and satiation when somebody explains it to us, and we understand what perseveration is when somebody explains it, but we don't understand how we as parents can use technology as a reinforcer and get it to a state where we aren't depriving them too much, don't get them to the point of satiation, and don't create a state in which we all find ourselves in at some point where they're perseverating on it. So help us out. How can we find that happy mix with technology? What's your advice?
I would just be careful with what they're doing with the technology. That's kind of how I look at it. And that they have a well-rounded life and maybe can do some other things too. So if that's the only thing they like and that's all they ever want to do, I would be concerned, and I would be trying to get them interested in other things, different hobbies or activities to get them active. They need to be moving their bodies and stuff too, not just sitting still all the time.
But if they're using the technology with really good quality educational tools, is it okay for them to have a little bit more time doing it?
I mean, I would say yes. If I was a parent and I had a goal that my child, I really needed them to learn a certain thing, and they're going to learn it through that avenue, I would go for it for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's totally one of those things that I would just say it's a matter of opinion and how you feel about it, you know?
It is, and for each kid, I guess it's going to be different, but I guess technology is a reinforcer. What I'm always thinking about is, because I mess it up frequently, I'm just going to be honest, that my son loves to play for screen time, to do things for screen time, and I let him earn screen time, but I let the screen time go too long. So I don't create a state of deprivation where so I will find myself at least once a month where I'll say, there's something that I want him to do that's a little bit hard, and I say, how about if we do this? I think, what's my big reinforcer? I'll give you some time on Steam if you'll, do this. And he goes, nah, that's okay, because I get enough time on Steam. And then I know I've done it wrong, right? I didn't set up a state of deprivation. I let him get to satiation.
Yeah.
And then I'll swing the other way and I go, okay, we just don't have any time. I make him occupied, and then we'll be at the store and he'll say, can we hurry up, because I want to get home to play on Steam. And he's just totally perseverating on it. And I'll take him someplace that he likes, and he's like, TikTok, I want to get back on Steam. So it is that thing where you're constantly trying to balance, to me, those three things.
Yeah, and I would say when they're in that state of totally perseverating on it and whatnot, that's when you realize, okay, we have to have other things besides this that he's really into. What can I get him into? Whether that be music or something active or whatever.
And then honestly, the thing that I do also is
art.
Art, but I will also take some of his screen time and make sure that it's in things that are really reinforcing, that are more educational than Steam. Not that I don't have anything against Steam, but I do have something against Steam. But you know what I mean? That that he can spend time on working on apps and things that are really fun for him, but are more educational.
Yeah, my daughter really likes to be on. She likes screen time as well. So she's only 6 and she doesn't need to know how to do this, but we have her do She's doing a typing program.
Yes.
Where she's going to learn how to do the whole thing without looking.
That's good.
And then we have her do math programs and stuff like that as well.
We love stuff like that.
Yeah.
We did the SpongeBob typing thing.
Oh, really?
Yes, because typing programs come with every possible character that, I'm sure they have a Frozen one. If they don't already, they will by the time we're done with this show. In any case, technology can be very reinforcing for all of us. It can help us to get to the good stuff. It is a tool. We have to remember that it's a tool, but it's a powerful tool for the autism community, for each and every one of us.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being with us. We'll look forward to having you back next week. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we've been talking about it all hour because I can't stop talking about See.Touch.Learn from Brain Parade. We're going to have Jim McClafferty, and we are also going to have Stephanie O'Brien with us as well, talking about this amazing app. So stick with us.
Hi, I'm Ryan with Autism Research Group. We study ways to improve the lives of kids with autism. One of those ways is teaching safety skills, such as what to do if they get lost. We hit the streets to find out if anybody knows the correct answer on how to teach a kid what to do if they get lost. teaching the child.
What to do if they get lost?
Yeah, you're trying to make them
Okay.
independent so they have the skills.
Gotcha. Okay.
Well, give them a compass. Code name's good idea. Centurion.
We always have this whistle.
Oh, I'd
Figure it
also
out,
tell the
don't
kid. I tell the kid, don't get scared. It's all. You're gonna be all right, man. This is just the world. This is planet Earth. You're at home here. As long as you're on planet Earth, you're at home.
As long as you're on planet Earth, you're home. This guy's a genius. With that flawless logic, he just solved our homeless problem. And as for the unique sounding whistle, although very cool, it'll probably only work if you're in close proximity. And a compass?
I have her call me.
Yeah, she doesn't have a phone. Parents are like, you're too young, you don't need a phone.
Establish some sort of like meeting place.
What if they can't find a meeting place? Because sometimes the kids get nervous when they get lost.
Yeah.
So like a backup plan,
Well,
plan B.
yeah, I don't know. No, not really.
Let them go and find a new kid or something.
Yeah, I've got a different one. Yeah.
There's not much you can do. 'Cause
There
if
is
you,
stuff
like,
you can do.
like,
That's right, there is stuff you can do. In 2012, myself, along with my colleagues, Dr. Jonathan Tarbox and Dr. Adel Najdowski, published a study in the Journal of Applied Behavior Analysis on teaching kids what to do when they get lost. The study demonstrated how 3 simple things, rules, role-playing, and praise, were effective in establishing these help-seeking behaviors. The benefit of this method is it doesn't require the child to have a cell phone or to have to locate a meeting place, which might be difficult if they're in a place like Disneyland. So once again, our method included rules, role-playing, and praise. Let's head back outside and learn about some of these rules.
They should yell out loud. Can't find my mom, help me.
Maybe yell out and scream for help.
All right, scream really loud,
Correct.
and if that doesn't work, then,
I don't know.
well, they could seek help from someone.
Find an adult.
Yeah, go to a vendor, and say I'm lost.
Find an adult, like a police officer or a fireman or an employee in the store, and tell them, and maybe they can help you contact your parent. It really is that simple. You don't need to get your kid a cell phone. You don't need to establish a meeting place that they might not be able to find when they're lost and panicking. And you definitely don't need to give them a compass. All your kid has to do is 3 things. First, yell mom or dad real loud. 2, if that doesn't work, find an employee. And then 3rd, tell the employee they're lost. If they can't locate an employee, then tell them to find a mother with children, because that's probably the safest person to approach. I'm not saying that most men are predators, but most predators are men. That is a fact. I've read it in a fortune cookie. All right, so you've gone over the rules with your kid, and you've quizzed them, and they're able to tell you the correct responses so they understand the rules. But is that enough? How do you know they're gonna perform correctly in a real world setting? You need to get out there and find out if they can actually do it. So you'd go over the rules and tell them like, do this, do that, but how would you know if they actually knew what to do? If you wanted to shoot a basketball, and I just told you, oh, when you shoot a basketball, do this, this, and this.
I never practiced.
You never practice, yeah, so it doesn't matter how many times we go over the rules or how well you can repeat them back to me. It's not going to change until you get on the court and practice.
Maybe do like a little skit with them.
Like a
Kinda
role play?
Role play, yeah.
Your child, you're lost in the toy aisle.
Okay.
What do you do? I'm an attendant, walking around.
I'm lost. I don't know where my mom is.
And then once you practice, you just like praise them, give them feedback, like, good job, you did it.
Reinforcing it.
Yes, this woman wins the prize for best comment. She pointed out the most important part of learning, reinforcement. Now, in our study, we used praise, but for your kid, you might have to use something else. You might have to buy them a treat, a toy, take them to their favorite restaurant where they can eat unhealthy food and run around and climb through plastic tunnels that have the unmistakable scent of urine, and then play games, spending $20 to get a plastic little spider ring that they will eventually lose in a ball pit. The point is, you need to reward your child for correctly demonstrating what you've been teaching them.
Okay, I'm gonna call her. So, hello, your child, Ryan Ouch is missing. There you go.
Woohoo!
Yay!
So you tested it out
I'll
in the
try.
store to make sure I knew it. I had the rules,
Yes.
we role played it, and you made sure I knew it, and then like you said, good job, and all that. Now we're good to go.
We're good to go.
All right,
Done?
high five right there.
Yeah.
So there you have it. Give your child the rules, get out there and practice, and reward your child for responding correctly. For more information, please visit us online at autismresearchgroup.org. I'm Ryan Bergstrom. Thanks for watching. Yes, Yes, this woman wins the first. Yes, this woman. Yes, this woman wins the best. Yes, this woman wins the first place. Yes, this woman. Why can't I say woman? Yes, this woman wins. What's the line? Yes.
Welcome back to Autism Live. I'm so excited because this entire hour I've been teasing all of you talking about our toy of the hour, which is an app. It's called See.Touch.Learn, and it comes to us from Brain Parade. And right now we're so excited because we get to welcome via Skype Jim McClafferty, who's the founder and president of Brain Parade, and Stephanie O'Brien, who's also with us, joining us. And she is a BCABA and somebody who has more than 12 years of experience working directly with children on the autism spectrum. So first of all, I want to welcome both of you and say how excited we are that you're here and how excited we have been about this app. We're just so glad that you have the opportunity to be with us today. So first of all, welcome. And and then I want to start out by, Jim, talking to you about this. This is a passion of yours. This is something that you have been working on for quite a while, melding technology and education. And I'd love for you to tell us why that's such a passion and why that turned into Brain Parade.
Well, thanks for having us on. Really excited to be here. My background has always been in technology. I was that kid who, when my mom would come home, I would have taken the telephone apart or the stereo, and she'd be in a panic, and then I'd put it back together. So I've always been a lover of technology, and in my various roles in corporate America, my responsibility tended to be to look at the next generations of technology and see what it meant to the business. About 4 years ago, I decided I wanted to do something a little more meaningful. The way I described it to my wife is I want to put my head on my pillow at night and feel like I did something that was meaningful, and I felt really good about it. And I set out to see where there was an opportunity for some new technology to make inroads in areas that had been underserved. And it was a conversation I had with a friend who had a special needs child, and she was talking about how antiquated the technology was in her child's school. And I put two and two together. I grabbed an iPad, I grabbed some graph paper and some pencils and started to come up with an application that I thought would make a big impact. And I approached it from the technology side, and I partnered with Stephanie on the subject matter expertise, domain expertise side, and See.Touch.Learn was born.
Well, and it's remarkable. I've been saying all week long, visually, it's gorgeous. It's absolutely beautiful. But Stephanie, talk to us a little bit about it, because you've got experience working with individuals who are on the autism spectrum. You've worked extensively in this field. Tell us a little bit about See.Touch.Learn and why it is so exciting and so effective with our kids who are on the spectrum.
Well, what I really liked about the whole concept from the beginning was not having to carry around my picture boxes anymore, losing pictures when I went from house to house or school to school, or having to leave a list for that consultant or the parent to go around, like you were saying, and take pictures of the grocery store, take pictures of McDonald's, find their community helpers, take pictures of them. It really eliminated all of that for me, and I could just have all my picture cards on the iPad, and just having the iPad itself going into homes or into schools with the kids was almost like an automatic pairing activity for me. So I would just walk in with the iPad, and the students would just come right over to me and want to know what I had. So I had my own pictures on See.Touch.Learn of things that I knew the students liked, like Barney or Mario Brothers or something like that. So I could immediately start to incorporate the picture cards that I had made in See.Touch.Learn and begin doing trials as a pairing activity, and the students were already engaged. So I didn't have to lug around my bags anymore, and I had everything that any student that I was going to see that day needed right away.
It's remarkable. And for those of you who are watching who are doing ABA and you understand the value of stimuli, that you're showing a picture and teaching a wide variety of things, you get it. You understand how much time you can save if this is all in one place. And I mentioned before we got to this segment how customizable you guys have made this, which is really incredible. And I love the fact that there is a community feature so that not only can you be sharing things with people, but that you can take things that they have shared and put them into your programs so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. And as I was saying to them before they came on, I was the mom who was running around town taking a picture of every single grocery store so that when we talked about all the different grocery stores with my son and said, you know, which store do you want to go to, that there was a picture that he could point to. And I used to think, isn't this terrible that I've spent 2 hours doing this and nobody else can benefit from it? You guys have harnessed that. And you've harnessed it in a beautiful package that is technology so that the kids do scurry over and want to take a look at it. So I got to hand it to you. Really, really remarkable, super duper smart. And I do want to say for people who have not yet started any kind of an ABA program, this is the hugest gift to you. I used to say to parents, on your must-have things that you've got to have when you're starting ABA, you have to get a digital camera and you have to have a 1-hour photo place that's somewhere close by because you're going to end up taking pictures of things and needing a 1-hour photo. But I can tell them now they don't need that anymore. They need to get See.Touch.Learn. And that's an amazing thing. And by the way, it's less expensive than the digital camera. So pretty incredible. Let's take a break and show them exactly what we're talking about. We have some video that you guys have sent us, and then we're going to come back and talk more about the practicalities of how you can customize this with a child or an individual on the autism spectrum to get to some good learning. So let's take a look first. This is from Brain Parade.
Select the baseball equipment. Touch the hairdresser.
Touch the apple.
Welcome back. And I apologize because we weren't able, there was a piece of audio that was missing on that videotape that you guys just saw. So we're going to correct that and make sure that we show that to you. But I wanted to let it run so that you could see how visually beautiful it is and that you could see how fabulous the pictures are, because they're truly amazing. So often I found when I was having to take the pictures myself, it's really hard to isolate an item to show just that when you're teaching and to get it absolutely clear. And you guys have given us a library of very clear, beautiful, specific photos so that we're not having a problem with what we're teaching, that there's something in the background. You know, but again, we have to say that you've added that when people are able to take clear pictures for themselves, they can upload it to the site if they choose to and share with other members. So there is a humongous amount of material to be able to pick from to populate a lesson. So Jim and Stephanie, talk to us a little bit about because one of the things that just really blew my doors off was how you can create a lesson and you can customize absolutely everything in this. So talk to us a little bit about why you chose to do that and how incredible that can be for a family that's working on autism.
Absolutely. One of the things you touched on is we made a decision right out of the gate that we were going to use real images as opposed to illustrations. So there's over 4,400 images in there, and you can see that they're all high-resolution, good quality images that we reviewed to make sure that they were, the best that you could use to cover as many subjects as possible. But we also added the capability so that you can add your own images for specific situations like you described, and one that Stephanie dealt with where one of her students was going to be celebrating his bar mitzvah. So they used specific pictures that would help him prepare for that. But we also have the community where you can share content with others. So one of the first things we did when the community was up there, we have U.S. currency. Somebody went and put Canadian currency up there. Somebody put euros. So great opportunities for people to share specific different types of content that are available that might not be available to you easily. So great opportunities there.
So let's talk about, is this something that's just for a parent? Or I thought you mentioned also schools being able to use this as well.
So there are 3 versions of the application. There's a free edition, which gives you a sample set and lets you experiment and try before you buy. And with that, you can buy individual libraries. Then there's the Pro Edition, which includes all of the libraries, all 4,400 pictures and 2,000 exercises, and access to the community. That's currently $34.99, and that's for more of a professional user. And then the Site Edition, which is designed for schools with 10 or more users, where they can share content privately with each other, and there's some data collection capabilities there as well. But it's designed to be used by the parent, by the professional, and by the institution. There's different flavors, and we've seen it successfully used. There's over 450,000 downloads since the product's been out there, so it's pretty popular.
And what are you hearing from people about that are using this? What are you hearing from them?
So I'm going to let Stephanie answer that, but I'm going to give you one quote that I got, which just sends chills up my spine every time I hear it. A grandmother told me a story. She sent us an email and told us a story about how she was walking out of a Walmart into the parking lot with her grandson. Her grandson looked up at the moon and said, "Moon." And he never spoke without being prompted before. The grandmother was absolutely floored, and it turned out that in school that week they were using See.Touch.Learn to teach him about the planets.
Wow.
That just gives me goosebumps every time I tell that story.
Wonderful. So you can put your head on the pillow and know that you're doing something incredible every night.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. Okay, so, and Stephanie, tell us a little, what are you hearing back from people who are using it?
What I hear from parents are similar stories, being able to customize lessons for students. The libraries that come with See.Touch.Learn have multiple examples of animals, but then teachers are able to take a picture of their own pet and put parents are able to take a picture of their own pet at the house so the students can identify their own dog or their own cat in the category of cats and dogs. As far as in school, it's been really nice for teachers to use See.Touch.Learn to help review lessons or to help review field trips. I had a teacher that went to the pumpkin patch with their students in October, and when they were on the field trip, she took all kinds of pictures, and on the bus ride back to the school, she created lessons to review what they did first, what they did second, and what was their last activity. So it was a very nice lesson to do once they were back in the classroom, and they could review their trip, and then she could also sort of web off onto other objectives that each student was working on at the time. So she could use the same pictures and put them into the students' own lessons when they were doing ABA.
I gotta say, as a former teacher, the ability to customize and make my own lesson is so innovative and unique to your program and exciting. And pairing that with being able to access all the gorgeous pictures that you guys have used and the community on top of that, you've done something really remarkable here.
Thank you.
It's truly incredible. So again, it's See.Touch.Learn, and this is from Brain Parade. And if people want to find this now, is it only for iPads, or can it also be used on Android?
It is iPad only at this point.
Okay, so they can go to the App Store and they can put in Brain Parade See.Touch.Learn to be able to find this. But I gotta ask, are there other things that Brain Parade is planning on giving us as well? Because this is pretty exciting.
We've got some exciting additions to See.Touch.Learn that we're working on, which I'll keep under wraps for now.
Okay.
We're also working with the local Stamford, Connecticut schools, where Brain Parade is headquarters, on building an application that is designed for teachers working with special needs students to manage their lesson plans, and to also integrate that to the extent possible with the Common Core, to really continue with what we're focusing on is helping the teachers spend more time delivering effective instruction to the students and less time planning and administering. So that's something we're working on right now that we're really excited about.
That's powerful. And then are you thinking of also having a community feature so that they can share lesson plans with each other?
Absolutely.
Because that really blows my doors off. That is exciting. Because we know, I know hosting this show that there are some teachers that are doing some amazing stuff with our kids. And we always say when they're here, we go, oh, I wish we could clone you so that you could be in every single classroom. And we know that's not possible, but maybe through your program, maybe there's a way that they can clone themselves. We'd love to look forward to hearing more about that. Will you come back and visit us when that's ready to go and to launch?
Absolutely.
Okay, you guys are amazing. We thank you so much for the work that you're doing. See.Touch.Learn. It's beautiful. It's so effective at teaching our kids, and it's so customizable. This is not cookie cutter. This is not one size fits all. This you can really customize, put lessons that you want, put pictures that you want in the program, but that's building on what's already there. There are already how many lessons?
There's over 4,000 images, 2,000 exercises.
Wow, amazing. Well, I congratulate you guys. We love that this is our Toy of the Hour. We want to remind everybody that we have 3 of the Pro version to give away. Make sure that you sign up for our free newsletter and send me an email at s.penrod@autism-live. Tell us that you want to win See.Touch.Learn, who you want to win it for, and why. We love to hear from you. And thank you so much, Jim and Stephanie.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to take a break now and go to the A Word. This is the ongoing documentary being made by the Center for Autism and Related Disorders, following a little boy who has begun his early intensive behavioral intervention. And after that, we'll be back with Dr. Jonathan Tarbox answering your questions. And we've got another Toy of the Hour coming up, so stick with us.
I know a cute little blue-eyed boy, and his name is Jack.
Jack Riley.
He got a big, warm, blue-eyed soul that makes your heart beat fast.
Let's go. Well, I got these. No. I don't understand. What are you talking about?
Jack Riley has been scripting a lot. He's repeating lines from movies, practicing speaking, which is great, but his use of language is not appropriate because no one understands what he's saying. Everyone has been working on redirecting his language to say things that are more appropriate and conversational.
Hey, ladies.
No, try again. Say, hey, ladies.
Let's play.
Jack, can you say I'm excited?
I'm excited to play.
There you go. Okay.
I will play Jessica's house.
Okay, that's nice.
Play you go. It is.
Jessica has been working on WH questions such as where,
I will play the iPod. Okay, go get it. Go get the iPod. Where is...
who,
Who's there?
what,
What is there? We go. It's iced coffee.
why,
Why are wearing glasses?
I'm pretending I need them so I can see you better.
That's funny.
These words accelerate his learning by giving him language to ask for info.
Oh, I just want to be silly. Am I silly?
You need WH questions for conversational skills, comprehension, perspective taking, and problem solving.
Hi,
Hi.
I'm Suzanne. What's your name?
They're gray.
What color are your eyes?
Are blue.
How about mine? What color are my eyes?
Are brown.
Yeah.
Welcome back to Autism Live. And you can see, if you're watching on the A Word, which we just watched, that they're still using cards. So much of ABA, especially in the beginning, you've got so many things to teach. So much of it, we start out with a two-dimensional, flat representation of something, a picture of something. I remember when we first started ABA, we were told to go to the educational supply store that was near us and get a box of flashcards that had probably 800 flashcards. And I remember it was like $74 to get that box of flashcards. And then they went through our therapists and they put them in different categories and different bags. I just was cleaning a box out and found one of the bags of cards. So that, 70 some odd dollars that we paid for the flashcards, and we got 3 years worth of use out of those flashcards, and he learned everything that was in that box because of starting with the flashcards. But that wasn't it. Then I have boxes of pictures that we took for every action. We would have parties where we'd have people over and we would have a list of things that we had to take a picture of, like reading a book. And so I would ask 5 kids at the party, okay, everybody show me reading a book, and the one that looked the most like reading a book, I would take a picture of that. Then we'd go to the 1 hour photo and get the, I'm just telling you, it was craziness. And now you don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. You can, for a fraction of the cost of everything that I've just described, you can do something like See.Touch.Learn. And have it all in one place and not be like, where is the flashcard that's for right? Absolutely amazing. And the fact that you can customize it is just brilliant. Which brings me to, now it's time for the new toy of the hour. We're featuring Lego again, because I love Lego. And yesterday we featured a Lego toy that was for a boy. Well, not necessarily for a boy. It was more unisex. It was an Arctic space station. But the thing about Lego is that they're so smart and they pay attention, and there are so many of us girls who like to play with Legos, right? But we'd like to be a little bit more flexible with the things that we do, and there are ways in which girls, stereotypically, not all of them, but a lot of us want to play with toys in a certain way. So Lego heard that and created a whole new line, the Friends line, and I just love this. And by the way, the boys love this too. This isn't just for girls, but it's especially good for the girls because we're drawn to that. But the boys can play with it too. Let's not get so rigid with our stereotypes that we can't allow this. My son would have loved this. He absolutely would have. He's a little bit older now and he wants to build things that destroy things. We're in that phase. But this is wonderful. This particular one is the Jungle Bridge Rescue. And I love this because it's got animals. It comes with the 2 characters, Maya and Matthew. I love that they have accessories. One of them has a vet bag. You get to build trees. And as I mentioned yesterday, there's a vehicle, which we just absolutely love. 2 vehicles, actually, because there's a helicopter. And this little device that's a winch that they can pull an animal up. There's so much to do here. There's so many different ways in which you can play. Remember with Legos, first of all, you can start with just colors and sorting with Legos. If you do nothing else and just sort out by colors, this is a great thing to do. But because the different Legos have different pips, I think they call them, on the top. Each Lego has a different depth and it has a different number of pips on the top. One of the ways that my son got excited about learning and doing numbers and even multiplication was by knowing how many pips were on. Like, we've got a blue base plate down here, and so we would teach him multiplication by counting up and over and multiplying those two numbers, and that would tell him how many pips were on the whole bar. It's crazy the number of things you can do with Legos. And then there's building and thinking creatively about how many different ways, how can you make a tree? Now here they've shown us how they made a tree. And with my son, what we do with a Lego, he puts it together once and then we let him take it apart and put it together in any way that you can. You can do block imitation, but one of the things that we did over the years was that we would sit down and say, what would we like to build today? And we would take the bucket of Legos and put it between us, and I'd say to Jem, what do you want to build? And he'd say, I want to build, for a while he was into boats. And I'd say, okay, so he would be building a boat and I would be building a boat, and we'd be talking while we were doing it, but to see creatively how he created his boat. And then he would take a look at how I built my boat, and he always learned. He is able to look at these different, because there are different pieces that serve a function for this Lego, but it can do something else for another. Here, it has a little thing that it can lift up, and another thing, it can be a jaw to a dinosaur. That kind of flexible thinking for our kids is so valuable. And if we start young, it's amazing the things that they can do with that. So Legos, this particular one we're going to be giving away. If you want to win the Lego Jungle Bridge Rescue, what you need to do is make sure that you're signed up for our free newsletter, which you can do at autism-live.com. Up above the screen on the whiteboard, it says join our free email list. Go to that, sign up. Then you're on the email list. Then email me at s.penrod@autism-live.com. You want to tell me that you want to win the Lego Jungle Bridge Rescue, who you want to win it for, and why. You must give me a mailing address for this because I have to know where I'm mailing it to. We will pick one winner for this from all the appropriate responses. Really want to encourage you, is there a child in your life or a child in the life of somebody that you know that could use a really wonderful gift under the tree or under the menorah or under whatever you're celebrating, whatever lights you're using to celebrate this year, because we have this wonderful toy, and we've got some more Legos coming up next week that we're going to be giving away too. So make sure that you write in for that. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, Dr. Jonathan Tarbox is here, and he's going to answer your questions, so stick with us.
When Maddie diagnosed, I'll be honest, I was very ignorant on what autism was. I knew that autism was basically something that hit boys at the age of 2 to 3. They shut down, and sometimes you think of the typical Rain Man movie. And with Maddie, she was doing all the same signs and symptoms of a typical child with autism spectrum disorder.
Stand up.
She didn't even acknowledge us coming into the room. She had barely any eye contact. She didn't interact with her sisters. She didn't really do anything. She just basically lined up her toys, and that was about it. We have a team of 7 volunteers, or 8 now. We have 8 volunteers, including my husband and I. And I'm the team leader, and so I do all the curriculum and get everything ready each week.
Jana was downstairs until 11 o'clock at night working on curriculum, going through 2 different textbooks. And then we, as a group, meet on Monday nights, and we would go through what the curriculum was from Jana. And a lot of times we would go, well, how exactly do you do that? How do you sit her at the table and do this trial base? What Skills has done for us, it's taken that away from Jana trying to figure out the curriculum for one. She can go down, or even our laptop, and she can sit down, and through all these questions, it comes up with the different programs.
At least for me, it was a relief off my shoulders. I was worried that I might be missing something, missing a curriculum that maybe she needs to know, where Skills, they have every possible thing your child needs to know from 0 to 7. They have a program for that.
What noise is this?
Good job.
every program that we did with her, I knew it was specific for what she needed to learn. Because before skills, it was a lot of, okay, well, is that really age appropriate for a 2-year-old? You know, because it's not generalized. It's anywhere from 0 to 7. This is what your child needs to know in most manuals you'll find. But for this, okay, yep, she should be learning this. And no, she's not 4 yet. She doesn't need to know that yet.
We are so fortunate that Jana was able to attend a conference put on by CARD that opened the door for skills, and that there's no looking back for us.
We started using the program in November, and it seemed like by January something just clicked, and she has completely kind of came out of her fog that she was in for quite a while.
I have never read a documented case on any child that has not benefited anything from applied behavior analysis, and now with this new skills and being, you know, like the E version of ABA, I can't imagine it doing anything harmful to their child. It's nothing but exponential growth for us.
To see her now, it just blows us away. I mean, we call her our little miracle child because in 7 months' time, she's just blossomed into this normal, functioning child. And suddenly, we joke about it all the time, like suddenly we have twins.
If you're even thinking about doing it, do it. Because the absolute worst thing you could do is do nothing at all. And even if you use this program and it's just a single mom or a single dad working in the evenings with their child, this program is going to benefit them. It's going to show you where they are, it's going to show you where they need to go, and it's going to show you what skills and how to get there. It is an online book on how to help recover your child.
Welcome back to Autism Live. We're here with Dr. Jonathan Tarbox, who we haven't seen for a couple of weeks, and so we welcome him back. So thrilled to have him back. For those of you who are just joining us and have never met Dr. Tarbox before, oh, what a great day for you that you get to meet him. He is the head of research and development for the Center for Autism and Related Disorders. He is also the director of the Autism Research Group that does research on things that are important to those of us who are dealing with autism now, not 20 years from now, which is pretty remarkable. And he is also somebody who treats autism on a daily basis. And I say autism, not just kids, because you treat a wide range of individuals.
That's right.
Up through
adolescents
adulthood.
and adults as well. Yeah.
So we kind of love him, and we just are so thrilled that he's here. A lot of times we ask him to decode research for us because so often we see research in the news and it doesn't boil down to the same thing when you hear it from a scientist, so we'll ask him about that. But we also have asked him more recently to just answer your questions because you guys love to ask him questions and we love his answers. So that's what we're having him do today. And I've been saving this question for a couple of weeks because we haven't had him. They said this question is for the very handsome Dr. Tarbox. Love that. You've got fans. I love it. My 4.5-year-old son likes to write letters in the air with his fingers. He also enjoys writing in a notebook. Most of the things he writes are things that can't be read, and puts shapes and weird drawings next to the letters. I ask him, what is that? And he'll say, it's the movie credits. How can I replace his writing in the air? I just think it looks socially weird, and I don't want people giving my son rude looks. While he's doing this, he closes his eyes really tight. Thanks a lot, Dr. Tarbox. I just want to say, on the one hand, I can't wait to hear what you have to say. And I understand the whole thing about not wanting your child to look socially inappropriate. And I understand how hurtful it is for us when other people are looking at our kids and thinking rude things. I do like to always say on this show that other people's opinions of my parenting are none of my business. And I've added to that recently that other people's reactions to my child are more to do with them than they are to do with my child.
That's for sure. I love that. I haven't heard that before, but that is absolutely the truth.
Because that helps me to remember, we had a tweet that went out for a while that our intern started that got a lot of traction because it said, said, being the parent of a child who's on the autism spectrum is not the worst thing that can happen to you. Being the parent of a child who's cruel to other children, that's the worst thing that could happen to you, right?
By far.
So when I see a child who's being rude to my child, I look to that parent and I feel a little sorry for them, because I think, boy, you're in the worst. You're there's a word that I use, I'm not going to say it here, but you're in the you-know-whats, right? Because your life is really kind of miserable. And that helps me to sort of language it so that I know I'm doing something that's remarkable here. What you're doing over there, not as remarkable. I feel sorry for you. So
I think that's a legitimate way to look at it.
Keep that in mind. But having said that, to get to the progress for this brilliant, lovable, sweet, adorable, I want to pinch his cheeks because he's making something and he's visualizing it and he's passionate about it. What can we do to help him turn that into something that's really productive for him?
Right. Well, first of all, I want to echo what you were saying. Is the very first thing that I thought of when you were reading this is the kid is using his imagination. Mm-hmm. He's being creative. Mm-hmm. He knows letters and he can write. Like, all of those things are things that many kids on the spectrum, we have to spend thousands of hours teaching those skills. So the fact that he already can do those things is fantastic. And yes, I know it can maybe look weird and make him stand out, but yeah, I mean, really, that's the first thing to know is that those are major strengths that he can build on.
It is, and you do have to remember to celebrate that, right?
Absolutely.
Because we get so busy on, oh, they got to be able to do this, that we forget to celebrate. Woohoo! My kid has skills.
That's right.
Yippee!
And honestly, there's a huge percentage of the typically developing population that doesn't have the imagination to sit there with their eyes closed and draw in the air and imagine things. You know what I mean? It's really cool.
Yeah, I would guess that Walt Disney could do that.
Right.
And
exactly.
so he's in good company there.
That's right.
Okay.
And then second, I really want to point out that I love the way that your viewer asked the question. She didn't say, how can I get rid of the behavior? She said, how can I replace the behavior with something more appropriate, right? That means, like, your show's working, people are learning, and people out there are really getting it. It's one of the most important things to know. It's not about getting rid of behaviors. It's about replacing it with something more functional. So maybe in this case, well, it sounds like he already has a really good replacement behavior, which is writing, right? So I would say, I think this would look a little less weird. Maybe he could carry around a notepad and take notes, while he's walking around. A lot of artists do that. Poets, songwriters, they carry around a notepad, and when they have a cool idea, they write it down. So it's a much less socially strange behavior than just doing this in the air. Right. So that'd be an option. Another way is to maybe bring it under what we say is bring it under stimulus control, meaning that we're teaching the child that there's certain situations in which they're allowed to do their repetitive behavior, and then other situations where they're not. And so a lot of times we'll use like a bracelet, basically, two different colors of a bracelet, a red bracelet and a green bracelet, or just bracelet on, bracelet off. Okay. When the bracelet's on, it means you can't do your repetitive behavior, whatever it is. When the bracelet's off, go to town, right? Okay. So if you want to write in the air, no problem. Just go in your bedroom by yourself for 5 minutes, take the bracelet off, and write in the air, no problem. When we're in public and you're wearing the bracelet, then you earn some kind of reward for not writing in the air and instead writing in your notebook, something like that.
And having it be in a notebook that you can keep, I think that would be something lovely. I know lots of teenagers that sketch and they take their little book and it's underneath their arm all the time. Other kids now who will draw on an iPad. There's something, and I don't know whether it'd be something that would be useful or not for your child. I don't know if we've talked about this before, but there's those Buddha boards that are really popular right now, where you take, and for kids who make big messes, they're an incredible thing. It's like an advanced, really Zen Etch-a-Sketch, because you take water and a paintbrush, and there's a specific, it looks like a stone board, and you take the water and you paint something, and then it goes away after like 45 seconds. It just disappears.
That's really cool.
And so you have to kind of watch it, and then you watch it disappear. It's like shaking the Etch-a-Sketch. It'd be interesting
you know what else
to see.
is like an iPhone or an iPod or one of the larger, not quite as big as an iPad, but bigger than a phone devices, whatever they call those these days. A lot of those you can buy a stylus for it, and you could do a drawing program, and he could, write letters, or he could draw, and you can save it if you like it. It's a nice little piece of art that your kid just created. Make it into a holiday card, whatever. Or you can erase it, right, and just keep going. But all those, I think, would look more socially appropriate than handwriting it, writing in the air.
Now, something else too that I've noticed among, now he's 4.5, so this is kind of young, but I noticed this with 2 different parties that we went to recently where boys were talking about making movies, right? And we had a play date the other day, and the one child had this program that I'd never seen before that apparently comes on almost all iPhones. It's very simple, but it gives them a choice of a movie that they can make, and it already has things that are filled in, and it just says get somebody to do something and then film it for 45 seconds, and so they film it, and then they can, at the end, it puts it all together, and there's a place in it where you can create credits.
That's really cool.
So I'm thinking if he wants movie credit, that be like, I wonder if that would fulfill for him the actual thing. And I watched at this play date, I lost my mind and invited, because we were having some things happen at school and I needed to shore up. So we invited 6 kids to come over for a video game play date.
Wow.
I know. What is wrong with me? And won't be doing that many children again, but I needed to have 6 kids because I want to form a group, right?
Cool.
So we had 6 kids with 2 different systems, and yet what kept happening was the kid who was doing the movie making, that kept being more exciting to them than playing the video games.
Very cool.
That, when it's more exciting than 2 video game systems going with games that they can all play, you know that's exciting to them.
That's
they all were like, let's
cool.
make another movie. What other kind of movie can you make? So and everybody else was completely neurotypical. So you want to talk about socially acceptable?
Yeah.
That's the big stuff.
Another cool app for that is a stop animation app. Have you heard of any of these? They're really cool. So you arrange like your Lego figures or your figurines or whatever, take a picture and then move them a little bit, take another picture, move them a little bit, and you can make 5-minute long video by taking a few hundred pictures, and it's really creative. It's very cool. I can't remember the name of it, but I think if you just search in the App Store "stop animation" or something like that.
Yeah, Jem took a class in Lego animation, but we've been trying to get it. We've been trying to get it set up on his own computer. So you just reminded me. I need to make that happen.
It works for the iPhone. There's an app you get for the iPhone.
Oh, okay. Did you see how excited I just got? Oh, I'm one of those moms. Anyway, okay, so we're going to take a break. We're going to come back with some more questions for Dr. Tarbox, so stick with us.
Hi, I'm Lisa Ackerman. Welcome back to Talk of Facts. We hear questions all the time, and we want to give you the answers that help make your journey in autism easier and more navigatable. Less than a year ago, we interviewed the top 100 doctors in the United States working with children on the spectrum, and we asked them a question in the cloak of secrecy. What are the top 3 mistakes parents living with autism do? Number 1, and the one that makes me laugh the most, is when they use their physician as a marriage and family therapist. 1, the doctors told me it made them uncomfortable, and 2, they were highly unqualified to provide that type of advice. So the night before your physician appointment with your MAPS doctor, get together with your spouse, significant other, and write out the list of the targets and the agenda that you want to cover at the physician's appointment. Get in sync. Then you'll be definitely spending less time and not making that doctor so uncomfortable. Second thing that was the most common mistakes parents living with autism make is they want to go too fast. And really, you want to pace yourself in the autism journey. We all know that we want to get our kid to be the best they can be and hopefully recover from autism. And what a lot of the doctors have told me is that you want to really pace yourself. 1, to let the labs be your guide, and 2, work with your physician on the prioritization and the delivery of the different medical interventions. The 3rd most common mistake they felt families made was giving up too soon. And what you need to know is they're invested, they're looking at wanting to get the best from your child. But I tell you that when I got that and consolidated the 100 interviews with these physicians, most of the doctors who brought that up had tears in their eyes. They want you to know that they're in the fight with you, and they want you to know that hope is really real. It may take hard work and it may take time, but to not give up and to stay in the game. So let Taka help you. We'll have some more Taka facts for you in the future, real questions and real answers for the autism journey.
Welcome back to Autism Live. We're here with Dr. Jonathan Tarbox. He's the head of research and development at the Center for Autism and Related Disorders. He's also the director of the Autism Research Group. And as I always like to remind us, he's somebody who treats individuals with autism. Those are three powerful, powerful things. And he comes here once a week and donates his time to be able to answer your questions, which is like the fourth remarkable thing. He's also a great dad. So how about if we just go on and on about how wonderful you are? Okay, so here's a question that came in for you. Hi, this question is for Dr. Tarbox. How do you guys know when a kid looks like he has recovery potential, or if he would be able to live on his own even with the autism label? My 4-year-old has done really good improvement from talking requesting with only one word 2 years ago to talking in 5 to 6 word sentences now.
That's great.
But he still has a lot of issues with attention, socializing, giving eye contact, and is not yet conversational. But I know he's a really smart boy, and even if he does not lose the label, I just want him to be able to live a normal life and have a future, because I won't be here forever. And that's the sad truth. And she says, thank you guys, you're really amazing people. So what do you, this is a thing that we all want to know early on, right? What's the potential? And I don't know about this mom, but I wanted it like engraved in something really heavy. You know, what's going to happen? Tell me the end of this story. I want to know what's on the last page of the book. And I'm learning over time that that I don't get to know that. But maybe you know.
Well, no. Unfortunately, the answer is we don't know yet. People have opinions, and I can discuss some of them if we want to, but the research is not at all clear on what predicts recovery and what doesn't. Some things that seem to predict greater response to treatment are things like having a higher IQ at intake, already having some language at intake, having better motor skills for some reason at intake. But all of those, none of those things are, you know, hard, ironclad rules. There's exceptions to all of those. So we can have a kid come through the door who really seems like he's going to be a recovery kid, and then not so much, you know, has a tougher time learning and has a slower learning rate. Whereas we can have another kid come in maybe a year or two late, really after he even should, severely affected by autism, lots of challenging behavior, and 5 years later he's indistinguishable from his peers. So the truth is we honestly don't know. But the important thing is, you know, as you said, this is sort of the question that all parents want an answer to. As soon as they hear about the potential of recovery, that's the first thing every parent thinks about. Some people don't even like to talk about recovery because they don't want parents to get that potential false hope, you know, et cetera. We've talked about that before. But really the most important thing to know, and this isn't going to be a satisfying answer to your viewer, but it's, I think what you've come to terms with is we don't know. We don't get to have that answer. And by the way, we don't get to have that answer for our typically developing kids either. We don't know what their future is going to be. You know, when you have a baby, that baby could end up being the president of the United States or a drug addict and dying of a drug overdose at 15 years old. I mean, we have no idea. There's no way to know. All we can do is be the best parents we can be for our kids, give them the most support we can, and when it comes to ABA treatment for autism, all we can do is maximize potential. Just push those skills that will allow your child to be more and more independent and more powerful and get more happiness out of life. So that's all we do.
Yeah. You know, I found I in the early days went around and asked as many people as I could, what's your child like now? What were they like before? What's your child like now? And what did you do? What is it that you did? What do you think is the secret to your success? I still ask people that when we interview them. And you know, I heard a lot of different things, but I heard themes. And those are the things that I glommed onto. Obviously, because I talk about it here, one of the big themes was get good quality ABA.
Absolutely.
Although back in the day, they just said get ABA. And now we've had to tweak it a little bit because now we need to make sure that, you know, because there's lots of ABA out there now, you need to make sure that it's good quality ABA. But I know that those early people, they got good quality ABA. So you have to make sure that you're getting good quality ABA. Some of the other things that parents said was that they got on a mindset where they were going to do whatever it took.
That's right.
And that, I think, is absolutely key. The I'm not giving up. I used to say to Jim, there is no margin for failure, and there is no end point. There is no arrival. We're just going to keep on going. And my husband would go, yes, right? And that's essential, too, that you have a partner who says yes.
That's right.
Not everybody has that.
I'm not aware of any research that has actually evaluated that, but I would bet my house on the idea that parents who have that attitude, and not just say it, but live it every day,
Yeah.
that is a predictor of their kids making the most outcome, the best outcome they can possibly make. I just guarantee it.
I guarantee it,
and not
too.
just the parents, but the ABA provider. I mean, you need to see that attitude in your child's BCBA, who's supervising your child's case. They need to have that attitude. That
Absolutely.
it's not casual. This is not just something normal we do every day. Every day is an emergency. We need to get the most
right.
learning possible out of every single day.
And I will tell you that part of it for us, that part of that mindset for us, where I said, you know, there's no margin for failure and we're plowing on. We don't know what the end point is. We're not saying that there's an end point. We're just going to keep on going. Is that I had to, over time, identify when there were people who weren't on that team, that they went off the team. That if you are dealing with, I can think of somebody that recently, you know, displayed that attitude with me, and they are no longer on our team. I don't think that they've quite gotten the message yet.
But they will.
But I keep saying it, so I don't know why they haven't gotten it. But I have no time for people who aren't going to believe that with me. If there are people who, you know, you will run into people at school who don't believe, they don't know about recovery, that's okay. You don't know about recovery, I'll tell you about recovery. But if you know about recovery and you go, that doesn't exist, and if you show that you are not willing to open your mind just a teeny tiny bit for the possibility that a child could get so well that people can't tell that they have autism, then you are not on my son's team.
Right.
I don't have time for people who aren't willing to get educated on my child's team.
And you know, we can replace the word recovery with best possible outcome, or maximizing learning potential, something like that, for individuals who, let's say, probably are not going to recover. If let's say you're 16, 18 years old and nonverbal, you know, at that point, you know, the learning potential is going to be a little bit different, but that individual still has learning potential.
That's right.
And our job is to maximize that learning potential.
Yes.
It's not, we're never taking a break here.
That's right.
Regardless.
And we don't give up on anybody ever. I will say too that the other running theme that I came across was parents who made it essential that their child was healthy. And that means something different for absolutely every single kid. But our kids have the right to be healthy, which means that you're not going to a pediatrician who, if your child constantly has a runny nose, that they go, oh, that's autism.
Yeah, or constant
Show me
GI
where. Or
symptoms,
they're constantly doubled over in pain and have diarrhea every day of their lives. Really? Show me. See, I'm getting hepped up. I want to take the keyboard and go, show me where in the DSM 4-5-12 that it says that our kids have GI problems that are not solvable.
Right. It's ridiculous.
It doesn't. So I'm not going to throw the keyboard.
I want to tell you my favorite new concept that I learned from my friend, Dr. Lisa Coyne at Harvard.
Oh, I love. We've had her on the show.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yes.
So you met her. She's great. So she told me about this concept called grit, and I love it. It's my favorite new concept, and it means perseverance in the face of obstacles. And so there's ways that they measure this in research, where they'll get the research subject to do a task that's an impossible task, and the measure is kind of how long they persist, even though they keep failing, right? And what she said, it's really interesting, is research has shown that people who have a high level of grit, in other words, persistence in the face of obstacles, that trait predicts success in life, whether it's making a lot of money, getting higher education, whatever your outcomes are, predicts success in life better than IQ, better than your socioeconomic status, better than what school you went to. So it's the idea of you just keep going no matter what, even in the face of obstacles. And you do it flexibly. You don't necessarily try the same thing over and over. You're willing to be flexible and adapt, but you don't give up.
Well, and okay, there's two sides of this that I want to talk about. The first is that I think that ABA therapy gives our kids that, because they learn how to persist even when it's hard.
Good quality ABA, that's right.
I think it absolutely teaches them that. And here's the other thing that I've learned from the other side of that as a parent, is that because we got that mindset around autism, we did make progress. And I say frequently to my husband and to my friends, if I could take that mindset that we got with autism and apply it to other areas of my life, whoosh, whoosh. It's hard. It's hard because you have to care deeply enough about it to overcome things that are hard, and I did for autism.
Right. And you have to be willing to sit with all of the difficult feelings that you have surrounding whatever the task is. You have to be willing to suffer, basically, to achieve whatever the mission is, you know? And you certainly have done that with autism.
Well, we continue. I mean, I'm constantly reminded on a daily basis that I said this to Nancy Alspaugh-Jackson yesterday, there is no arrival. My son grows and he changes, and I have to change what I'm doing, and I have to see what support he needs. I think that I keep saying that there will come a day when he does not need support from me anymore, but he will still be growing. He will still be changing. He will still be coming up against obstacles because I do.
Right, everybody does.
That's life. But I think we're quickly getting to the point where my support is, superfluous noise in the background. And that'll be good.
That's great.
I'll continue to make
Working
it.
yourself out of a job. That's good.
Yes, like any good aid, right?
That's right.
Okay, we're going to take another break, and then we're going to come back with another question for Dr. Jonathan Tarbox. Stick with us.
Hello, fellow activists. Last week, we talked about step number 1, accept and embrace this challenge. Now we're moving on to step number 2, educate yourself. After my son Wyatt was diagnosed, I put up a sign over my home office that said Autism Central. I went to school in my home office every night after my husband and Wyatt had gone to bed because I was determined to learn everything there was about autism. That's because knowledge is power. Visit all the autism websites you can, read all the books you can, learn about all the organizations that are out there that offer free guides to help you. Some of them even offer mentors to help guide you. Find out about local support services. Find out about what educational services your child is entitled to. Get to every autism conference and seminar you can. I'll never forget the first autism conference that I went to. The first speaker was a beautiful, brilliant woman named Dr. Doreen Graham-Pichet. She spoke about a therapy called Applied Behavioral Analysis, or ABA. She told about how it could improve the life of children with autism, and in some cases, recover them. Now, despite the fact that Wyatt had been diagnosed for over a year, nobody had told me about this therapy. I remember calling my husband on the cell phone and saying, "Honey, I met the woman who is going to help improve Wyatt's life." And I'm happy to say that 8 years later, that's true. Are you feeling a little overwhelmed by all the information that's out there? Well, you're not alone. But try different approaches for your child. Trust your gut. Just 40 short years ago, mothers were told if their child had autism that they would have to be institutionalized, and in some cases they were actually blamed for their child's autism for failing to bond with the child. That was called refrigerator mother syndrome. Well, thank goodness times have changed. So until next time, learn everything you can about autism and keep the faith.
Welcome back to Autism Live. I was just sharing, we were talking about elves yesterday, and I was sharing my elf experience with Dr. Tarbox. So this is why we were grinning. I always say on the show, I have no expertise where it comes to autism. I cannot speak. I always start the show and say, I want to remind you, I have experts on the show like Dr. Tarbox. I'm not one of them. I can't speak. I'm a parent, former teacher, but no expertise. Elf, different thing. I have expertise as an elf. This I can speak to with all authority. And I take it very seriously. In any case, if you didn't watch yesterday's show, make sure you watch it because there was a story that we were talking about an elf that needed to be fired. Okay, we have a question for you. Our son is 10 years old and has developed a stutter when he speaks. It's not a typical stutter. It is more of a vocal tic along with swallowing. It usually happens when he is walking and talking. He doesn't seem to be bothered by it, and we have never made any mention of it. How can this be corrected? Is this a speech therapy issue or a neurological issue? It has been going on now for more than 6 months.
Okay. I'm going to say, very important for me as an expert is also to say when I'm not an expert on something, and I'm going to say I'm not an expert on tics.
Okay.
If it's a repetitive behavior, I can speak to that, like an automatically reinforced stereotypy or self-stim behavior.
What's the difference between a repetitive behavior and a tic?
Yeah, it's a good question. So, and again, that's where I'm not an expert.
Okay.
But I know people who are, and it's not the same thing. And there is a neurological basis to Tourette's disorder and other tic disorders. And so I don't don't have enough information here to know whether it might be related to an actual tic disorder that could be at least partially neurological. And if so, behavioral treatments can work, but they don't always work. And the main thing I can say is, man, definitely don't make a big deal out of it. And it sounds like they're not already, which is good. But definitely anything that increases stress or stigma or anything like that is not a good idea. But beyond that, it's outside of my area of expertise. But if she emails, if she contacts us, I can direct her to someone who can direct her to someone who might be in her area or who would know better.
So best thing to do is, and I want to say this to anybody that we've asked to email, because it's so important. A couple of times people have emailed and just sent an email address, and then I don't know which question it matches with, right? So make sure when you email me at s.penrod@autism-live.com. Send your email and say, I have the question for Dr. Tarbox about the speech thing, and then I will forward that off to him so that he can connect you with whoever that is. But if I don't know what the thing, I have a couple of emails in my email box that I need to email people back and say, I don't remember what this was regarding, because sometimes my brain is smooth. It's terrible at this. I'm at an age where I don't retain information in the same way that I used to, and I'm told that it's just part of things to come.
Well, it's also probably a side effect of how much stuff you're learning and dealing with. You have way too many balls in the air with the show. So.
Well, can we also say too, because I thought in my life that I was done learning all the things that I needed to learn when my child was diagnosed with autism, and then for the first year and a half I said I was not going to learn the jargon. I was not going there. All of you could adjust yourselves to my method of speaking regular English. And then I said, no, I see that my bad here. I can, if I really want to improve being a member of the team and have my son make the most progress, then I need to learn the jargon. And so I did. I buckled down and I made it a passion that I'm going to learn jargon. It's something that we do here every day. And now my son is in 6th grade and he comes home with 6th grade math homework. And can I tell you what I did last night? I sat there and there were math sentences about, when finding the GCF or the LCM, it's important to remember that the reciprocal of the quotient, I wanted to crawl underneath my couch and have somebody put me to sleep permanently. I was like, seriously? I didn't know this when I was in 6th grade, and I now have to go back and learn math jargon?
Right, yes.
This is the ultimate and cruel.
On Google or YouTube and relearn this for our kids' homework.
Thank goodness for Khan Academy, because I don't know where I would be without Khan Academy. I had to do this to check his homework.
Right.
He did it, but I had to check it. I don't even know how to check it if I don't understand the words. It's like, I don't remember what a quotient is, and they use all those things, those words that never made any sense to me.
Right, and that you never use again for the rest of your life unless you're in mathematics. But.
Or have a child, apparently. Oh, it's so disappointing. Okay, somebody wants to know about scripting.
Okay.
Constantly scripting. He does language and communicates with us 4 to 5 word sentences, but it's constantly scripting about shows, movies, even acts it out. And they said, thank you guys. So what do we do about scripting? And for those people who don't know what scripting is because they haven't seen it or yet, what is scripting?
So scripting is a word commonly used to refer to when kids will repeat scripts or repeat dialogue from movies or cartoons or things like that, or repeat the same words over and over from songs or things like that. So it's just another form of repetitive vocal behavior or vocal stereotypy. Delayed echolalia, it's called sometimes too, because you're echoing something you heard, but after a while. So first of all, the fact that your child can talk in 4 to 5 word sentences is fantastic. That's such a good foundation to start from. Now, usually what we do with scripting is, again, try to bring it under some kind of stimulus control or setting control, meaning that it's okay to do it in some circumstances and not so okay to do it in other circumstances. And we use really clear cues, usually visual cues, to cue when it's okay to do it and when it's not. And when it is okay to do it, we use, when it's not okay to do it, we usually use some kind of positive reinforcement to reward the child for not doing it, not doing that behavior, and ideally for doing some other more appropriate behavior. For example, singing a song appropriately is not so bad, right? talking appropriately, having a conversation, asking a question, commenting on something that your child sees that you're walking by, etc. All of those behaviors get rewarded, and then when the child starts to script, maybe some kind of reminder to talk with a nice voice or something like that.
Okay.
Now, we don't want to go down the road of punishing it or anything like that. Some people do that; it might work, but again, it's probably not necessary. It's just going to make the whole situation more anxiety-provoking and aversive. So base it on positive reinforcement. Visual cues, things like that, usually work pretty well. But honestly, it's a pretty challenging behavior to change.
Yeah, it is. I've seen this. Fortunately, this was not Jem's thing, because I see how hard that it is for other people.
But I will say that I've worked with kids that were like the real scripting kids, where they're literally scripting 100% of the time that they're awake. And honestly, your first thought is, there's no way we're going to be able to fix that, right?
Yeah.
And then a few months later, by doing just good old-fashioned basic ABA procedures, a few months later, they're not doing it anymore.
There we go. There we go.
Or they're doing it only when it's appropriate, like by themselves in the bathroom or in their bedroom.
We all do that a little bit.
Who cares? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So somebody wrote into us yesterday about a 14-year-old who was nonverbal, has epilepsy, and they were saying, is it possible that ABA could help this individual? Is it too late? And Dr. Grant Pichet said, no, it's not too late. So now they've written in for a follow-up here. They said, I wrote in yesterday about my friend's 14-year-old ASD with epilepsy. He needs a nurse/attendant 24 hours, no eye contact, nonverbal, many seizures. I tried, one of the things, they said that yesterday that he does is walk around and toss books and things like that. So they said, I tried to block him tossing books off the table to get a reaction. He changed the pathway of tossing, but still made no eye contact. How can we figure out what reinforces him? Because yesterday, Dr. Grant Pichet was talking about, he's locked in a world by himself if he's got no way of communicating. So the tossing books, is probably has some element of frustration and boredom, and to get some attention, and a whole bunch a bunch of possible potential things that it could be. And she was saying, let's find something that gets him excited, and then pull him in to do those things, and maybe he won't need to toss the books.
Right.
So the question is, what can they do to figure out what reinforces him?
Okay. Well, step one, find an ABA provider. It's not too late. 14 years old is definitely not too old. There's literally hundreds of research studies showing that ABA works for kids that are not in that early intervention age anymore, like teenagers and even adults. So it's not too late at all. And the very first thing that a good ABA provider is going to do is figure out what reinforcers that kid really wants. That's the number one thing we do, figure out what motivates the kid, and that will tell you how to work with him or her. But for now, what the parent can do or the friend can do is present lots and lots of different types of items or activities, and you just see if the individual engages with them. Put it in front of them, maybe demonstrate how to use it if it's a toy or if it's a art activity or whatever. Put it in front of them. If they engage with it, then that means, and they continue to engage with it for at least 30 seconds or more, then that means, okay, yeah, maybe they actually like it. Take it away, give them a different one. See if they engage with that one. Take that away, give them a different one. Give them a choice between 2 or 3 at a time if the individual has the skills to make choices. And then, of course, establishing communication is the most important thing. And that's the second thing the ABA provider will do, is after they figure out what the top reinforcer is for this individual, they'll teach the person how to ask for it. And if you can't vocalize, they'll use pictures, or they'll use an iPad to communicate, or sign language, or some other alternative means of communication. And even with people who are the most profoundly affected by autism, in the first day, you can get them communicating for something if they really want it.
And that's called manding, correct?
Manding, that's right.
And here's what I want you to know about manding.
Good jargon.
Thank you. It is part of our jargon. Here's what I want you to know about manding is that in the beginning, this is your biggest friend, because as I call it the magic X on the chart, as any individual gains the ability to mand, and that graph goes up for that, and the exact proportion, their challenging behavior goes down, and it makes an X on the graph. And here's what that X means. Your life gets so much better. Yes. That's what that X means for to everybody. A parent.
Yes.
It's crazy how much better life is when they are able to request successfully for the things that they want.
Right.
And it just automatically, some of the challenging behavior will, like, it's like a magic act.
That's right.
They don't need to do it anymore to get what they want.
And I'm here to tell you that even individuals with profound intellectual disabilities and severe autism can learn how to demand, can learn to request what they want.
It's amazing. It is not even a minor miracle. It's a major miracle in a parent's and a family's life. Okay, we're really out of time here, but I want to take a second. Somebody wants to know, Shannon, how do you find out services that a school can offer? It can be rather a secretive process, and special ed parents don't seem too inclined to share. When I've asked the school, they tell me we're not allowed to shop, and thank you. You are allowed to shop. Even within public school systems, you are allowed to shop. There are always ways around. They'll say, oh, no, you have to go to the school that's within your district. You can't go to that school because they're full, whatever. I'm here to tell you, wink, wink, there's ways around, and everybody, each school district, it's slightly different, but you are allowed to shop because you have to find what's appropriate. You are entitled to a free, appropriate public education. If you've got special ed parents who are not wanting to talk, it may be for a reason. It may be that they have a gag order on them. I have been the recipient of one of those things that I was not allowed to talk about the services that my son was getting. It is what it is, right? But here's the thing. First of all, go to takanow.org and see if there is a Taka group in your area. If there is, sign up for it. Those parents will talk to you. That's a place where just parents, if that doesn't exist.
Too.
I'm sorry?
Feet as well, yeah.
Feet, absolutely. Another
There's
place.
feet all over the country.
Absolutely. Find a parent organization that's local. I always say in the beginning, find a local one and a more global one that can support you, because that's where you're going to get the dirt. Where you're going to find out, this is not the pediatrician to go to, this is the pediatrician. This is not the teacher to have, this is the teacher. It's private. They're supposed to monitor those things so that people can't come in and abuse them in any way, but you need to get the skinny. And if you've already got a child in school, you can volunteer. That's another way that you can get in to look at a school, but you do get to shop. And if you want to message me, s.penrod@autism-live. So many people are taking advantage of that I'm behind on getting back to people, so you have to be patient with me. But I'll eventually, you can keep emailing me. I will talk to you at some point, I promise you. All right, we're out of time. But next week, okay, can we just talk for a second about next week? Because we're ramping it up on the Festival of Toys. We have got some amazing guests, and already on Monday, I can tell you we're going to be talking with Endless Games, on Tuesday, Endless Games. We are having Lecotech come back with us on Tuesday. I have got some amazing toys next week. Make sure you're signed up to win those toys. The toy of the hour, this hour, was the Lego Friends Jungle Bridge Rescue. This is a great toy for somebody. Make sure that you sign up for the free newsletter and then email me, s.penrod@autism-live. Tell me who you want to win this toy, why you want to win this toy. You must include a mailing address. If you could win the pulling it out of the hat, but if I don't know where to mail it to, we're dead in the water, right? So make sure you send me the mailing address of where to send the toy. We will pick a winner of all the appropriate responses that match up to somebody being on our free newsletter, which you can find at autism-live.com. Thank you, Dr. Tarbox, for being here. We thank all of our guests today. We will be back on Tuesday. Until then, please give your kiddos a hug from me and one for you, too. Bye-bye for now.